Stop number 4 on the IHRA series for 1984, Milan Dragway, Milan, Michigan. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bob Jenkins along with Larry Newber. These Northern Nationals have attracted the top names in pro funny car competition in the United States. Names like Prudhomme, McEwen, Bernstein.
Bob, they really have. Don Prudhomme, of course, near the top of the list, always a legend in his own time in drag racing. The first man to ever go over 250 miles per hour in a pro funny car. He finished second at a meet earlier this year to this man, Tom McEwen. They call him the Mongoose, and Tom and Prudhomme have had some of the most legendary battles in the history of the sport. McEwen figures to be very strong here. And then, of course, there's also Kenny Bernstein. He's number 3 in the all-time win list of IHRA. He was the first man to ever go over 260 miles per hour, and he appears to be in a very strong position for the meet here at Milan.
We're up to the quarterfinals in pro funny car, and some of the top competitors in that division have already been eliminated.
Bob, at the top you mentioned that we've got a great field of cars here. Billy Meyer, he had won 4 times in 1984, and Raymond Beadle, the #1 man in terms of wins in his career in IHRA. They both qualified but eliminated in head-to-head competition.
Well, so much for the pro funny car division. When you're talking pro stock division, you're talking about Lee Shepard, who has won the last 4 IHRA events, 3 this season and the last one in 1983. He's going for 5 in a row here today.
And in pro stock competition in 1984, only Shepard and Warren Johnson have even won in the United States of America. Johnson would like to unseat Shepard here today. And then you turn to Rickie Smith. Talk about people who have the ability to beat Lee Shepard. Last year, 1983, Rickie Smith met Lee Shepard 3 times in the finals. And you know what happened every time? He beat him, so it could be again today.
Well, working in the pit area and, in fact, anywhere there's activity here this weekend, veteran sportscaster Marty Reed.
It's been a world record-setting event here at the Motorsport North Star Nationals. In pro funny car, the man to beat is going to be Dale Pulde. He set a new mark of 5.64 seconds. He can make it an official world record if he can run 5.70 or better here today. Also, another man to watch, Mark Oswald, at better than 262 miles an hour. That's a new world record for speed in pro funny car. Then in pro stock, the man to watch, Lee Shepard. For 11 straight IHRA events, he has been the #1 qualifier. He set a new world mark at 7.45 seconds. And then there's Roy Hill, running at over 189 miles an hour. That's a new speed record. It is going to be one thundering event.
We'll be back with our first racing of the day, the quarterfinals in the pro funny car division, after these messages.
You'll have a great time saving money during the Carnival of Values at True Value hardware stores. Get this Servest 5-piece ratcheting wrench set for only $8.99. And you can get a Master Electrician Safety Outlet for just $15.99. This tough True Guard combination padlock is only $1.57. And you'll find this handy chrome flashlight for just $1.49 in the Carnival of Value circular from participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
More officers of major U.S. corporations read the Wall Street Journal than read any other single publication of any kind. They started reading the journal when they were on the way up. When are you going to start?
Save $7.50 off the cover price with a subscription to the Wall Street Journal. Order 19 weeks for $39. Phone toll-free 800-372-3000. That's 19 weeks, just $39. And save $7.50. Phone 800-372-3000.
Join ESPN Saturday, August 4th for live coverage of the $1 Million Jewel in trotting's Triple Crown. It's the 59th running of the Hambletonian. The winner in this fleet-footed field vying for victory must finish first in 2 out of 3 grueling 1-mile heats. We've got your seat on the rail for all the start-to-finish action. There's magic in the Meadowlands when the trotters are tested to see who reigns supreme. Catch them live Saturday, August 4th on ESPN.
Suit up Sunday for pit crew duty with ESPN at Karts Provini Ville 200. Defending champ Mario Andretti, Rick Mears, Tom Sneva, and a field of top drivers test the tricky Road America Raceway course. Join us in Wisconsin for all the live action from green flag right to victory lane. Sunday.
ESPN makes a Can-Am connection in Minnesota tomorrow. The veteran drivers are trying to keep those rookies in their rear-view mirror tomorrow.
back at Milan Raceway in Milan, Michigan for the quarterfinals of the Northern Nationals. And we're ready for the Pro Funny Car quarterfinals. 8 competitors remain. And we look at the qualifiers in the activity so far this weekend. They are led by Dale Pulde with a 5.645, but the surprising thing here this weekend, the number 16 qualifier. He's won 2 events earlier this year, but his 16th qualifier here, that of course, Billy Meyer.
Bobby struggled all weekend long. He's already been eliminated by the Mongoose. We won't even see him. Meyer will not win today.
And there is Tom McEwen, who'll be competing here in just a few seconds. But right now, let's go down to Marty Reed, who has an explanation of a Pro Funny Car.
If you have a 4-cylinder car sitting in your driveway at home, it puts out about 85 horsepower. But the Pepsi Wendy Special of Don Prudhomme puts out 2,500 horses, and the man who runs it all is standing with me. Don?
Yeah, thank you. It's quite a quick car. It's aerodynamically sound.
Let's take a look underneath.
Sure. Fuel tank carries about 12 gallons of nitromethane, and we use it for ballast in front of the front axle also.
About 8 gallons is what you'll use in a pass, and it's awfully expensive.
Yeah, it burns up 8 gallons, and of course the extra fuel is in case the car has to run a little bit longer sitting on the starting line. We don't run out of fuel at the end of the quarter of a mile.
And the cost?
About $30 a gallon.
Awfully expensive. Let's move back to the power plant.
Sure. This is the brains of the engine right here. This is the fuel pump. This is where it all happens. This is where your fuel mixture takes place before it gets up into the engine.
And this is where all the power's made up here in the supercharger.
That's right. This is a fuel injection system on top of the engine. When the driver hits the throttle, you'll see that these butterflies will open up in front, and the air intake goes in, of course, along with the nitromethane at the same time.
And you go flying down the track. Let's go back to the cockpit where everything takes place.
Sure. This is my job. I got this butterfly steering wheel in my hands, and I'm sitting behind this 2,500 horsepower. Going down a quarter of a mile in 5 seconds, believe me, there's a lot to do. There's instruments, there's a tachometer, fuel pressure gauges, and also around 150 miles an hour, you shift it into high gear.
2 speeds, fast and faster.
That's right.
Well, this is the slowest you'll see one of these move all day. Let's go back upstairs.
Unbelievable. Those Pro Funny Cars burn 8 gallons of fuel in a run. That can run into quite a bit of expense, Larry.
Bob, that works out to be about 1.5 gallons a second, so talk about fuel economy.
The competitors in our first race in the quarterfinals in the near lane, Jim Head from Columbus, Ohio, with 30-year-old drag racer, and Tom McEwen from Fountain Valley, California, 47-year-old McEwen in the Coors Chevrolet Corvette, and Jim Head in the Head Racing Dodge Daytona and Independent.
Head would really like to win this one. He's never won an IHRA event. He's had a couple of second places, but those were both in the Pro Dragster division. Though he's been around for a long time, he's really a rookie in Pro Funny Car.
Head with the whole shot in the far lane. And Jim Head with a relatively easy victory over Tom McEwen.
Well, Head was the 4th fastest qualifier coming through the preliminaries, and as we mentioned, he's never won one of these meets, and Bob, he may have his best shot ever at winning.
There's the elapsed time and the speed in miles per hour for Jim Head, and he now moves into the semifinals. Here's a replay. It's McEwen in the near lane and Head in the far lane, and he gets the whole shot and has no problem.
Well, he just held on to it all the way down the strip, and you saw that 260 mile per hour mark pop up. A couple of months ago, it seemed like that was an unreachable figure, and now everybody appears to be knocking it over.
As a matter of fact, Jim Head becomes only the 3rd Pro Funny Car driver to hit 260 miles an hour. Now the burnouts are going on for our second race in the quarterfinals of the Pro Funny Cars. Mark Oswald, 31-year-old driver from Cincinnati, Ohio. His challenger will be Dale Pulde in the Miller Warrior Pontiac Trans Am. Pulde from Granada Hills, California, a 34-year-old.
And of course, remember Dale, there he is, the California driver, age 34, who has that world record pending. You have to come back and be within 1% of the world record time for it to really stand, and Pulde will be attempting to accomplish that in this run here. Pulde, who will be racing against Mark Oswald, 2 of the most successful drag racers really in history, although particularly in the last 5 years.
The old Milwaukee Candies and Hughes car. Now, Pulde in the earlier round, as Larry indicated, had a 5.645 elapsed time, a world record. That was against John Collins. If he can come within 1% of that in any run this weekend, why, it will go down in the record books as a world record. Now, we might at this point explain what they're doing, the burnouts, Larry. Why is that?
Well, the best traction you can get in one of these big, heavy dragsters is a rubber-to-rubber meeting on the surface, not rubber to cement. So what the drivers attempt to do is lay down a patch of rubber, and then as they back the cars back into the line, you'll watch the crew members positioning the car just perfectly so that they're running rubber to rubber, and that heats up the tires just to the right temperature where you get the best traction.
Oswald against Pulde. Race number 2, quarterfinals. And a big puff of smoke.
I think Mark Oswald had some trouble, Bob, because he didn't get very far down the strip at all. He watched Pulde turn in a 5.745, and Bob, I think that's enough.
It indeed is. It's within 1%, so the world record goes to Dale Pulde, and Pulde an easy winner over Mark Oswald in this particular event. Oswald, of course, the defending champion in Pro Funny Cars and IHRA competition, and there was a big puff of smoke from Oswald's car as Pulde went on for the win.
You know, these cars really are engineering masterpieces, but when you think of how rapidly things go, boy, they do appear to be fragile sometimes.
So we have more drag racing activity coming up in just a moment as we cover the Northern Nationals from Milan Raceway, Milan, Michigan.
We know how much you love sports. So what would it take to get you to pick up the phone and order Sports Illustrated? A free trip to the Super Bowl? Sorry. How about a discount when you subscribe? Say 10% off? 25? 35%? Okay, how about more than 50% off the cover price? That's a savings of almost $1 on every issue. And we'll kick off with a whole new football season, including the bowl games, NFL playoffs, and the Super Bowl, plus coverage of baseball, basketball, boxing. No one captures the spirit of the game better than Sports Illustrated. So why aren't you dialing? All right, what if we also include Sports Illustrated's College and Pro Football Spectacular? Over 200 pages that let you preview today's top college teams and tomorrow's Super Bowl heroes. More? How about our famous swimsuit issue that features sports in a different light? Not enough? Well, since you like football so much, how about more football? And more football? And even more football? What do you want? A medal? Okay. You'll also receive the Sports Illustrated Olympic Collector's Pin. So, how about a final bonus? This exclusive Sports Illustrated chronograph. It's a stopwatch that gives you the time right down to the 100th of a second. It's also a clock and calendar with day and date. So why aren't you pressing those pretty little buttons? Oh, the phone number. It's 1-800-221-3200. 28 issues of Sports Illustrated for 3 easy installments of just $8.99. That's more than half off the cover price, including the College and Pro Football Spectacular and the swimsuit issue, plus this official Olympic pin and 7-function chronograph free with your paid subscription. So now what?
I can't see the phone number.
It's 1-800-221-3200. Call now.
You can stay up to date on all the activity in the world of motorsports as you join Larry and me for Speed Week. It's on ESPN every Thursday evening at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We review and preview the activity in the world of motorsports. Speed Weeks Thursdays at 7:30. Well, here are the point standings in IHRA Pro Funny Cars. Billy Meyer with 2,320 points because of his 2 wins at Rockingham and at Bristol. However, he has failed to qualify for the activity here this weekend at Milan. Kenny Bernstein will be in this next race. He is 39 years of age, and his opponent will be Tim Gross from Saugus, California.
You know, Bob, auto racing has a habit of breeding legends, and there is one. Kenny Bernstein, he comes into this particular meet 6th in points. He's a former champion of IHRA. He hails from Dallas, Texas, and Kenny has been in and out of and then back into pro drag racing. He decided to step out of the driving suit for a couple of years and concentrate on business, but now he's back and with a vengeance.
Tim Gross drives the Mike Curb Racing Pontiac Trans Am. Mike Curb, of course, famous because of his relationship with a couple of other people in professional auto racing. Tim is 32 years of age. He qualified 15th for the Winter Nationals at Darlington earlier this year, but burned out his transmission on the first round, giving Roy Harris the win, and he did not enter the Pro-Am Nationals at Rockingham. So it's Kenny Bernstein against Tim Gross.
By the way, you saw that lid on top of Gross's car. That is the escape hatch, but it also comes in handy during burnouts to let out fumes and smoke that might accumulate inside the race car.
So the pit crew members are preparing the track, and the drivers are pulling their cars back to the starting line.
Gross would really like to win against Bernstein. Of course, everybody wants to beat the people who are legends, but Gross has only won once in IHRA competition.
1979, Gross captured his only IHRA title when he stopped Kenny Bernstein in the finals.
And, Bob, that was right here at Milan. As a matter of fact, this has been his best drag strip.
Kenny Bernstein in the far lane and Tim Gross in the near lane.
Oh, Gross is in trouble, Bob, but I think he gathered it back in. He sure did.
Kenny Bernstein, an easy win, as Tim Gross had problems right at the start of the race. Bernstein with a 5.7 ET, no speed, and there is the crippled car of Tim Gross crossing the finish line.
Boy, a real tense moment for Tim Gross, and the cars may look like or resemble at least something you drive on the highway, which, as you know, are not top-heavy, but underneath this skin, there's actually a rail, almost a pro dragster, if you will, and they're a little top-heavy, and they don't do very well when they're going sideways.
Kenny Bernstein moves into the semifinals. This is how it happened.
There you see Gross lurching coming off the line. The car makes a big turn to the left. He was about 45 degrees out of shape, but Tim cranked the butterfly steering wheel back to the right and saved it.
Don Prudhomme, the Snakes car, is preparing to make the next run. However, no opponent for him right at the moment. Roy Harris is supposed to be the opponent for Don Prudhomme in this race, but Harris has not showed at this point.
Well, Prudhomme has never won an IHRA Nationals or a Finals. At the age of 41, he's hungry for victory in IHRA.
Well, let's go down to Marty Reed for an explanation on what's going on with Roy Harris, who has failed to show here.
A drag racer's nightmare. You win the first round race, but you don't have enough parts to make it to second round. That's what's happened to Roy Harris. Roy, what's wrong?
We torched the cylinder head, and since we only had one of everything, we can't repair it, so we have to pass on the next round.
It's just one of the misfortunes of being an independent racer. He doesn't have the big budget.
That's the story of auto racing. It seems so much. Here, by the way, is Roy Harris's run against Raymond Beadle. Beadle has won the last 3 times here at Milan Dragway in 1981, 82, and 83, but Roy Harris with the win over Beadle in previous competition.
Beadle and Billy Meyer, 2 of the pre-race favorites who will not be to the finals, at least on this day.
So Don Prudhomme from Granada Hills, California, is ready for the run. Now, the question is, why would Don want to make a fast run here and take a chance on breaking the car?
Well, he'd really like to have lane preference going into the next round, and in order to do that, he has got to qualify faster here than Dale Pulde, and that's going to be a tall order. We're talking about a world record.
So Don Prudhomme, the Snake from Granada Hills, California, 41 years of age, in the Pepsi Wendy's Pontiac Trans Am. Don Prudhomme with the shootout and waiting on the ET and the speed. The ET is 5.996.
And, Bob, that will not be enough. Pulde went 5.659 in his last round.
So we'll be back with Pro Stock quarterfinals in a moment. We cover the Northern Nationals from Milan, Michigan.
What do you like best about flying Delta?
They're delicious entrees and that low Delta fare.
I enjoy nonstop boarding with advanced check-in and the low fares.
I like getting frequent flyer credits and a bargain fare.
And you, what do you like best?
I like the fine service.
I like the low fares.
Super service, low fares. That's the Delta spirit.
Delta is ready when you are.
In Canada, one family still brews a beer to stand head and antlers above the rest. Imported Moosehead beer.
Kermit, why did people pollute our rivers and streams and wastewater?
I don't know. Clean water is so important. I guess people just don't think enough about it. For some free tips on how you can use water wisely, write to Kermit, National Wildlife Federation, Washington, D.C. 20036.
Yeah.
Bob Jenkins, Larry Nuber, and Marty Reed back at Milan Dragway, Milan, Michigan for the quarterfinal round in the Pro Stock Division. The qualifiers here this weekend led by Lee Shepard at 7.458 ET. Lee has won all 3 races on the IHRA series this year. Well, let's go down now to Marty Reed and Roy Hill with an explanation of a Pro Stock car.
Pro Stock, the factory hot rods, and the king of the sport right now with a new world record is standing with me, Roy Hill. I have never had my budget rent-a-car do 189.07 miles an hour.
Well, I hadn't until yesterday, and we're shooting for 190 today. That'd really be nice to go home and say you'd run 190 and been the first to do it.
Well, let's take a look inside this new world record holder. Tell us a little bit about the engine compartment.
Well, right now we're running a Ford SVO aluminum heads and block, punched out a little bit bigger than 600 cubic inches. That's what gives us the horsepower to do what we've done.
And you're running 2 4-barrel carburetors.
Yes, we use 2 Holley 4-barrel carburetors, crane cams, Manley valves, basically a Dick Landy prepared motor.
Let's move back into the action area, the cockpit, because you have a lot more shifts to make than the funny car drivers do.
Right. We've got a Lenco transmission here where we leave the starting line with a clutch. Then we shift automatically with the levers. You've got a lever, a Hurst shifter there for each gear. And we run direct through the transmission in 7.5 seconds, 190 mile an hour. We've gone through 4 gears.
Move back to the tail section, because I know one of the innovations that you've brought in is your wing, and you've given it a lot of credit for your high mile an hour.
Right here is basically what has given us the mile an hour. We've changed things around. We've been to the wind tunnel with this Mercury Capri, and this right here is basically between the motor and the wing here is what's done it for us here.
The quickest Lincoln Mercury Capri in the world.
And the competitors in our first race here in the quarterfinals, Pro Stock Division, Sam Carroll in the far lane. Sam is from Durham, North Carolina. And in the near lane will be Charlie Peppers, a 42-year-old from Auburn, Georgia.
So both of these guys really show how much of a scramble, that is to say, behind Lee Shepard and Warren Johnson, that Pro Stock has been. Sam Carroll has never won an IHRA finals, and somewhat of a surprise when you consider the scramble behind the top 2. You're not surprised to see guys like him and Charlie Peppers there in the near lane coming into the final 8.
Charlie Peppers, an infrequent visitor on the IHRA trail. In his only outing this season, he did not qualify, but was later reinstated when Mickey Stevens crashed during the final qualifying round.
Great race. A good one. Bob Carroll had him at the beginning, but Peppers really came on strong at the end.
Peppers did indeed come on strong and wins the race over Sam Carroll.
Well, 42-year-old Charlie Peppers, who will move up to the next round. There we are on the replay. Now watch the jump that Sam Carroll gets out of the hole. He keeps that Pro Stocker right down on the ground. It really works in his favor. Things are looking good for him right here, but the top end, watch Charlie Peppers come on. That T-Bird really laid it out at the end.
Charlie Peppers moves into the semifinals. There was a clock malfunction, and we don't have an ET on that. Nevertheless, Charlie Peppers is the winner and moves on to the semifinals now. And the next competitors, the guy we just met, Roy Hill from Sophia, North Carolina, against Darrell Alderman. It'll be Roy Hill in the far lane and Alderman in the near lane.
An interesting race, Bob. You know, Hill going after that 190-mile-per-hour barrier, and Darrell Alderman on the right-hand side of your screen or the near lane. He's having a great year. There's Darrell in a red and yellow Chevrolet product. He's having a great year, and the guy who comes out of this particular matchup could well be heard from later in this day. Hill going for 190 and Alderman his best year in the near lane.
Charlie Peppers' time was 7:70 in the race we just completed. We do have that ET for you now. As we get set for Hill against Alderman, they call him the Hillbilly. He drives a 1984 Mercury Capri. Roy Hill in a good hole shot in the far lane. Let's see if Hill can hold on. Wait a second, it's a red light for Roy Hill. So Darrell Alderman will be the winner of that race, and Hill red-lighted, perhaps just a little too anxious to get that 190 or to move in to challenge Lee Shepard.
Oh, I think so, Bob. You know, he knew it. He stayed with it, and he got about halfway down the strip, and he realized what he had done. And, of course, he wants to finish. And let's watch the light. Only 3 lights in IHRA competition. And you can see right there, right at the line, that red light pops up immediately. he'll realize what he had done. He wanted to finish the event. Just in the event, there may have been a disqualification on Alderman.
Yeah, it was pretty obvious that he got off the line too quick. It's Rickie Smith against Jim Ruth. Smith in the far lane, Ruth in the near lane, and it's going to be Rickie Smith winning this one.
Well, Smith is one of the favorites. If there's anybody who can challenge Shepard and Johnson, it might be Rickie Smith. And what he has done, he's taken what for him is what he expected, the next logical step toward the finals here in Michigan.
Rickie Smith from King, North Carolina. He is 30 years of age and second in points in the pro stock division at this point. Here's the replay.
Pretty good race. Both of them are right on the money at the line, but Rickie Smith, a little bit of that experience perhaps showing through. He just powered down the strip and grabbed an early lead and held on to it. He finished second earlier this year down at Rockingham, so he'd like to have another shot at victory and glory here.
We continue with the quarterfinals in the pro stock division. Lee Shepard against Warren Johnson. Shepard in the far lane, Johnson near lane. Remember, Shepard has not been beaten this year, but a pretty good race there and a good challenge by Warren Johnson.
Oh, boy, Bob, I'll tell you, this could be the meet. You just don't know. Halfway down the strip, it was beginning to look like maybe Johnson had this one, but Shepard standing straight up in the seat, pushing down that accelerator. You can see the difference, and that may have been enough for victory.
So the 39-year-old from Arlington, Texas, Lee Shepard, into the semifinals. And we'll have the semis of Pro Funny in just...
Of never finding or not having the right tool and, ouch, all those knuckle busters? Then you need Master Wrench with its new 3-in-1 design. Master Wrench makes this nationally advertised wrench set obsolete. Watch. Master Wrench is a universal wrench. Adjusts automatically to fit any size nut or bolt. The harder you turn, the tighter it grips. This wrench doesn't work here. But Master Wrench, because of its new design, converts into an open-end wrench and does the job quickly and easily. Master Wrench is also a pipe wrench. Automatically adjusts to fit the pipe. No guesswork, no adjustments. Master Wrench, a universal wrench, open-end wrench, and pipe wrench all in one. Made of heavy-duty tool steel. They come with our 10-year guarantee. And replace this $99 set of wrenches for the amazing price of only $19.95. We'll even include this handy storage pouch. But that's not all. You'll also receive the all-purpose Versatool. Strong enough to cut sheet metal, it's 12 tools in one. Order now, and you'll also receive this special bonus gift, a 5-piece precision toolkit, just what you need for those small repairs. Remember, you get the 2-piece Master Wrench set, storage pouch, Versatool, and the 5-piece precision toolkit for the incredibly low price of only $19.95. Call now. Here's how to order. Call 1-800-544-1000. Save COD charges by using your major credit card. Or send a check or money order to Master Wrench, Post Office Box 121, Plainville, Connecticut, 06062. Once again, call 1-800-544-1000 and use your major credit card for rush delivery.
You have a lot to do, and here's the perfect way. You can be sure that you have a great Woman's Day.
In the new issue of Woman's Day, find out what kind of mother you are with this quiz. Discover 10 tempting salads for hot summer evenings. Learn how to eat to save your life with this anti-cancer cookbook. And get great Olympic souvenirs when you buy Procter & Gamble products. We put so much into one Woman's Day.
Have a great, great Woman's Day.
We travel to a new stop on the IHRA Tour at Edgewater Park Dragway. Join us Saturday, August 11th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 Pacific Time for the Summer Nationals IHRA Drag Racing. Our first race, Kenny Bernstein against Jim Head. Let's go down to Marty Reed with more on this race.
This could be a very interesting semifinal matchup. On one hand, you've got Kenny Bernstein's Budweiser King. Heavily financed, high-dollar operation. They even run a computer system on board. On the other hand, Jim Head, one of the top independents in the nation, running 7th in the IHRA World Standings currently. He is basically financing this entire project with his own cash.
Kenny Bernstein against Jim Head. Money versus the independent, but that doesn't necessarily mean an instant victory.
No, not at all, and particularly Jim Head. He has enormous experience, Bob. He's been drag racing about 15 years on the pro level. He's 7-12 in terms of his record in the finals, so perhaps he has not been as successful as he would have liked to have been once you get into the final rounds, but he's been around a long time. He's been there many times, and you don't expect him really to make any errors. There's Kenny Bernstein, of course. He was the first pro funny car driver to break the 260-mile-per-hour barrier. It's been done a couple of other times since then.
Jim Head, incidentally, has been drag racing for about 15 years, and 1984 is the first season that he's been behind the wheel of a pro funny car.
Also remember that Head was the 4th fastest qualifier here this weekend, and if he's had a shot at victory at all in 1984, this could be the day. Bernstein always up near the top. In terms of qualifying here this week, he was 6th, so up to this point in the competition, Head has had the advantage. But that red and white car with Bernstein behind the wheel, boy, I'll tell you, he's very tough, Bob, when you get down to those last 2 or 3 races of a meet.
Well, not only does Bernstein have an onboard computer in that car, but also this car has undergone extensive wind tunnel testing. By the way, Kenny Bernstein is 6th in points for IHRA this year, and Jim Head is currently 8th in Winston points.
Kenny has been in the finals of all 3 of the IHRA meets, and he's won once over in the other rival group, NHRA.
So Jim Head in the far lane and Kenny Bernstein in the near lane were in the semifinals. Bernstein with a good hole shot, but Head with the challenge. Good race. Oh, it's almost too close to call, but a big puff of smoke from Kenny Bernstein's car just as he crosses the finish line.
Wow, a couple of dramatic moments. Bernstein's thinking, geez, I hope I won it, but then again, if he won, Bob, look at all the work he's got to do.
There it is, 255.6, a 5.8 ET. Kenny Bernstein with a narrow victory over Jim Head. Let's take a look at this. This was an excellent race.
Boy, they're pretty equal at the line. Both of them squirm just a little bit. They get a hold of themselves and their Pro Funny car. Down the line, it's side by side. Boy, look at this one. It's almost like a NASCAR finish coming across the line. Who's it going to be visually? You can just barely see.
It is close. But the thing that we wonder about is what happened to Kenny Bernstein's car? You see him out of the car right now and smoke pouring from it. That may mean serious problems for him in the finals. We'll stand by and keep an eye on that situation. Meanwhile, we move to our second semifinal race. This is Don Prudhomme against Dale Pulde, and this should be an excellent race.
Boy, it really should. Remember, Pulde, he's been very fast all week long here. Prudhomme, at 41 years of age, really hungering and thirsting after his first IHRA victory.
Pulde has lost at both IHRA national events this season to the same driver, Mark Oswald. Let's see what happens here.
Anybody's race.
Prudhomme, near lane. Yes, Don Prudhomme in the near lane walks off with the victory against Dale Pulde. But the chute, he has a problem with it. Don Prudhomme's chute failed to open properly. He is into the dust at the end of the strip.
Prudhomme is into the sand trap. I think everything is okay as far as Don goes. But when you get off the paved surface, you shoot through the grass and into the sand trap, these cars can become very vulnerable. Prudhomme out of the car immediately. He knows that he has won this race. He is qualified for the next round. He hasn't even taken his helmet off or his gloves, Bob. He went right to the machine. They're going to take the body off to facilitate getting it out of the sand trap area. And Prudhomme right now very concerned about his equipment.
Well, here's the race. Prudhomme and Pulde. And Prudhomme off the line well and holds on for the narrow victory, but watch what happens when he crosses this finish line. The chute will not properly open, and he has a lot of work to do to get that car slowed down from 259 miles an hour.
He really did an excellent job also in the race itself. He also had a nice example of the escape hatch in action. Prudhomme taking no chances. He was exiting that machine as soon as possible. Actually, Pulde got off the line just a split second ahead of Prudhomme. He did an excellent job in the middle stages of that race, shifting through the gear, and one gear and getting up to top speed.
Well, the body has been taken off of that car, and we mentioned that there are no pro dragsters in IHRA competition this year, but boy, when you get the body off of that thing, that's essentially what it is, Larry.
Yeah, it really is. And Prudhomme did also an excellent job when that chute failed to operate properly. You can see it fluttering the breeze and not billowing out and opening. Now he starts to get on the brakes, but you got to be careful. You got to keep the wheels pointed properly, and at these speeds and those big tires in the back, you can see how the car bounces up and down. Look at Prudhomme's left hand at the top of the steering wheel, rock solid, just holding straight on. No panic there. All those years of experience paying off, and Prudhomme saves it.
So the car bounces into the sand trap. That is a large area of very heavy dirt that will slow the cars down. You can see it performed its job very well as Prudhomme climbs out of the car.
And Marty Reed is down there with Prudhomme. Let's see what's going on down there.
Ready? You got a fire truck down here? No.
Anywhere on the grounds we can hose this thing off real quick with?
There should be a hose. Everybody put. Should be a hose just about up there by the concession stand, I think. How much time will they give us from last round? I haven't heard, Don.
We'll find out just when we get you off, Don.
You can hear the conversation between Prudhomme and members of his crew, and Marty Reed is down there, and we'll find out exactly what's going on. Here's Marty.
Come on back.
Come on back.
As you can see, the big problem Don Prudhomme has, does he have enough time to get this car back and assembled and ready for the finals? We'll find out.
Well, Bernstein had a problem, and Prudhomme with also a problem. We'll see what happens in the finals. That's coming up. But next, it's the semis in Pro Stock. We'll be right back.
In the high-tech world of car stereo, high technology must go beyond what the eye can see. Kenwood believes in the essentials, in achieving sound perfection, by building car stereo components that produce sound of startling realism and depth. Sound perfection. It doesn't get any closer than this.
I'm Nick Bollettieri. I've been a teaching pro for 27 years. It's lots of fun to play tennis. It's lots of fun to hit the balls over the net. Not so much fun to pick up the balls. We're going to solve that. We've come up with the Bollettieri tennis tube. It picks up all the balls. And you know what? It's even fun. Our students at the academy enjoy it. It's easy to put the balls in the basket. The tube doesn't break. It doesn't rust. And I'm sure you're interested. Call 1-800-544-1000.
Monday, our Superbout sluggers are back for more hard-hitting ring action. It's 1979, and John Tate tangles with South Africa's Harry Coetzee in a WBA heavyweight title brawl. Does Tate evade Coetzee's fearsome right-hand force? Join us for some ringside reminiscence Monday on ESPN. Suit up Sunday for pit crew duty with ESPN at Karts Provini-Ville 200. Defending champ Mario Andretti, Rick Mears, Tom Sneva, and a field of top drivers test the tricky Road America Raceway course. Join us in Wisconsin for all the live action from green flag right to victory lane. Sunday.
Next, watch the Winnipeg Blue Bombers live up to their name when they travel to Edmonton for a tilt with the Eskimos. Live CFL action is next.
Well, join me, Larry, and Dick Berggren live Sunday, August the 12th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time for coverage of the Champion Sparkplug 400 from Michigan International Speedway. All the top NASCAR competitors will be there Sunday, August the 12th at 12:30 p.m. We're ready for the semi-final round of the Pro Stock Division, but there is a lot of activity back in the pits concerning Pro Funny Cars as we look in on the crew working on Kenny Bernstein's car.
Wow, they think they have something serious there. They got the blower off. They're deep down inside that motor already. And like at every drag race, there's always a race behind the scenes in the pits.
First race, semifinals, Pro Stock Division. Charlie Peppers in the far lane and Rickie Smith in the near lane.
Charlie Peppers in the T-Bird at 42 years of age. He'll be going up against Rickie Smith, and Peppers has got himself one tall order. Smith coming in with a lot of confidence, and he could be very strong in this Pro Stock semifinal.
Both cars are Thunderbirds, and Rickie Smith second in points right now in IHRA competition. There is Rickie Smith, the first Pro Stock driver to beat 180 miles per hour.
You also start thinking about the possible in the finals. Remember, Rickie Smith is the guy who beat Shepard last year 3 times.
But he has a race to compete in before that one, and he has to beat a very competitive Charlie Peppers. Pulling away from Charlie Peppers. Rickie Smith is going to win it, and Peppers backed off about halfway down the run.
Yeah, whatever happened to Charlie, as we look at Rickie Smith's 183 miles per hour. Rickie Smith, relatively routine run for him, nowhere near world record time. And Peppers got out of it so quickly that he did not even need to use his chute. So whatever happened to Charlie, May have been terminal.
Here's the replay. As you can see, the wheels go up on Rickie Smith in the near lane. He's on the accelerator down the quarter mile. Charlie Peppers backs off.
That's a delicate moment right there when those pro stockers lift off the ground. You never know really to stay on it or get off the accelerator for a split second.
And Lee Shepard, the king in pro stock competition, is in this next race against Darrell Alderman. Shepard has won the last 4 stock races, 3 this year and the last one last year.
Shepard has been very strong, and right now that he's disposed of his nearest competitor, he looks very strong here.
Let's go down to Marty Reed, who is back in the Don Prudhomme pit, and find out what's going on there. Marty?
Back down here in the pits, as you can see, things are still pretty hectic. The things they have to do is clean every speck of dust and dirt that they ran into down at the top end, out of the blower, out of the injector. It could mean the difference between victory and defeat. And this race is very important to Don Prudhomme. For all the victories he's won over the years, he has never won an IHRA national event. He wants this one badly.
A lot of work going on there in the Prudhomme pit, and I'm sure that perhaps he is back for a shower after all the dust that he went through at the end of that run.
Who would have thought the Pro Funny Car would come down to a shower in Gaffer's Day, Bob, you know?
Lee Shepard against Darrell Alderman. Alderman from Moorhead, Kentucky, 34 years of age. This is the Gary Duckworth Racing 1983 Camaro. His opponent from Arlington, Texas, 39-year-old Lee Shepard in a 1984 Camaro. So it's Camaro against Camaro in 83 for Alderman and 84 for Shepard.
Shepard is really only in his second season of IHRA. He was the champion last year, his first year in the trail, and he's going to be tough to beat this year.
Alderman currently 3rd in IHRA point standings. He has his work cut out for him here. Can he beat Lee Shepard? Let's watch semifinal round. Alderman with a good move off of the line.
Oh, here comes Shepard. Look at that car.
It's a red light, though, for Darrell Alderman. We kind of thought it possibly could be, because Alderman got out of the starting blocks a little too soon, and that gives Lee Shepard the victory, 184 miles an hour. Shepard moves into the finals once again.
When you're going against the best, I guess it's hard to imagine all the things that go through your mind. You almost feel for Darrell Alderman sitting there, looking at the tree, looking over at Shepard. He really would have liked to have won this one, but I think he was just a little too fast, obviously, red lighting, and Alderman loses out.
So the 2 finalists are set in pro stock competition. Down in the Don Prudhomme pit, look who is helping repair that car. It's the mongoose helping the snake. That's kind of an unusual situation, and there's also activity in the Kenny Bernstein pit because of his problem. Here's Marty Reed.
Meanwhile, over in Kenny Bernstein's pit, things are not going very well either. He broke a main stud in the motor. It means they've got to pull this engine out and put another one completely in. It looks as though this is going to be a matter of survival in this race rather than just being a Sunday afternoon drive.
So we should have 2 classic finals in pro stock, Shepard against Smith. In the funny cars against Bernstein. We'll be back with the stock finals in just a moment.
Mondale, Jackson, Hart. They're all attacking President Reagan. The California Republican Party wants the president to know what you think of the job he's doing. Call this number on your touch-tone telephone and participate in the presidential opinion poll. Your responses to national issues will be tabulated by computer and sent to the president. There's a $2 charge, and the money will be used to help elect Republican candidates. Call this number now. It's your hotline to the president.
What do you like best about flying Delta?
They're delicious entrees. And that low Delta fare.
I enjoy nonstop boarding with advanced check-in and the low fares.
I like getting frequent flyer credits and a bargain fare.
And you, what do you like best?
I like the fine service.
I like the low fares.
Super service, low fares. That's the Delta spirit.
Delta is ready when you are.
We are ready for the finals in the pro stock division here at the Northern Nationals, Milan Dragway, Milan, Michigan. This is how the combatants got to where they are. Smith with a victory over Ruth, Peppers over Carroll, but then Smith beat Peppers. Lee Shepard with a win over Warren Johnson, Alderman over Hill, but Shepard the winner in that contest. So it's Shepard against Rickie Smith in the finals.
When Shepard knocked off Johnson, that could have been a very big moment. Remember how close that race was? Rickie Smith, he does not want to be out publicized by his two perhaps slightly better known, at least at this point, competitors, and Rickie Smith, who would like to do well here against the main man so far in 1984, Lee Shepherd.
It'll be Chevy against Ford, a 1984 Camaro for Lee Shepherd and a Ford Thunderbird for Rickie Smith. Lee Shepherd, undefeated so far this year. He was the winner at Darlington, was the winner at Rockingham, and the winner at the most recent IHRA drag race at Bristol, Tennessee. Can he make it 5 in a row, because he won the last race in 1983 also?
Not only has he been doing spectacularly well in IHRA, he's also been splitting the victories in NHRA with Warren Johnson. So no matter who you are or where you've qualified in pro stock, it seems like when you get to the finals, you turn around and look, and what do you see? The red and white of Lee Shepherd.
There is Rickie Smith, the first pro stock driver to break 180 miles an hour, and the cars move toward the starting blocks. In the far lane, it is Lee Shepherd, and the near lane, Rickie Smith. Finals, pro stock division. Shepherd with a good start, about a half a car length lead down the quarter mile. Lee Shepherd has won his 5th in a row.
Well, I'll tell you, when you get to the top of the mountain, sometimes things just start going well and you start feeling invincible, and I really believe that you make a lot of your own good luck. There ain't any luck involved in that one, but I'll tell you something. Shepherd right now, he does look absolutely invincible, and there he is.
7.5 ET, 185 miles an hour. Here's the replay. A wheelie there from Smith, but Shepherd comes out the victor.
They both stood up at the line a little bit and carried it out a little further than normal, but boy, in the top end, look at the horsepower carry Shepherd through. He's got the chute pop before he crossed the finish line.
The 39-year-old from Arlington, Texas, Lee Shepherd, has won the pro stock division here at Milan Dragway in Milan, Michigan.
Well, Bobby's actually an engine builder. His engines have become so popular on the trail that you almost have to have one to be competitive. He's selling to everybody.
The 39-year-old from Arlington, Texas, Lee Shepherd, has won here at Milan, and Marty Reed has made his way to the top end. Shepherd gets out of his car. Here's Marty.
Here at the top end, Lee Shepherd stepping out of the car. Lee, 5th time in a row IHRA national event winner. You are unbeatable.
Well, we just work hard at it.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you, Ricky. Good race. Everything went our way today. We didn't have any major problems. The car ran excellent. I have to give most of the credit to my partners, David Rare and Buddy Morrison. They really kept the car running excellent today.
The beat goes on in pro stock for Lee Shepherd.
Our congratulations to Lee Shepherd, and now we get ready for the final round of the Pro Funny cars. Kenny Bernstein has been given 10 minutes to get that car to the line. Don Prudhomme is already there. It looks like that Bernstein is going to make it. There is Don Prudhomme waiting for the finals, and we'll be back for them in just a moment as we bring you the Northern Nationals from Milan, Michigan, Milan Dragway.
See this AM/FM walkabout? We're sending one just like it, free, to people who've already responded to a very special offer. And now we're going to make that same offer to you. So watch closely. Then I'll be back to help you get your free walkabout.
When you read Time each week, you know more. You understand.
Time flies and you are there. Time cries and lets you care. You understand the world we share. Yes, time brings you closer to living. Time puts events in sharp review. Time brings it all right home to you.
Each week, Time magazine takes you beyond the news to help you make sense of it all. And now you can get Time for almost half off the cover price. Call 1-800-221-9700 and get 27 issues of Time with all the important stories of 1984, including Time's special coverage of the upcoming presidential election. And you can have it all for just 89 cents an issue, payable in 3 easy installments of $7.97. We'll also send you this free with your paid subscription, the Time AM/FM Walkabout. It has state-of-the-art circuitry for clear reception and full, rich sound. It weighs just ounces and has padded adjustable headphones. So call now, 1-800-221-9700. There's never been a better time to get Time.
Throughout your world, throughout your land, time puts it all
Hi, I'm Judy, one of the operators here at Time Magazine. Remember, if you call now, you'll get Time at almost half off the cover price. And this exclusive Time AM/FM walkabout free. This offer ends soon, so call right now. Our operators are standing by.
Back in Milan, Michigan, and we're ready for the finals in Pro Funny Car. Northern Nationals. Here is how Don Prudhomme made it to the finals. He beat Dale Pulde in the semifinal round, and this is how Kenny Bernstein has made his way into the finals. He had a victory over Jim Head in the semis. There is the car of Kenny Bernstein, and he has finally got that machine going, and there is Don Prudhomme as the body is fastened onto it, and we're set to go now.
And by our unofficial count, Bob, Bernstein just got it in less than a minute to go, really up to the deadline. And there he is, Kenny Bernstein, looking for his 6th IHRA national win. Remember, he's ranked 3rd in all-time wins.
Kenny Bernstein's crew chief on this Budweiser car is Dale Armstrong, who is an ex-funny car driver. Don the Snake Prudhomme, meanwhile, from Granada Hills, California, 41 years of age. He's the driver of the Pepsi-Wendy's Pontiac Trans Am. Well, Larry, can Kenny Bernstein win, or will Don Prudhomme walk off with his victory here today?
You know, Bob, this is a tough one to call as we watch Prudhomme executing his burnout, probably his final one before this final match. They both have had problems up to this point, and both of them really are sitting in machines that they're probably not completely comfortable with. Prudhomme with 259 miles per hour in the semifinal, and Bernstein 255, but that may not mean anything. It's going to come down to how good of a job each of the respective crews have done. Bernstein's engine rebuilt, Prudhomme's car washed.
Kenny Bernstein in the far lane, and that has been predominantly the faster lane here this weekend, but again, it doesn't really mean a whole lot, as now the psyching begins, as Kenny Bernstein has done another burnout and now begins to back up as his crew cleans off the starting gate. Don Prudhomme, meanwhile, sits rather silently at this point, perhaps psyching himself up for the run here this afternoon.
Bob, you mentioned the preference of the far lane. You know, Prudhomme had the choice here in the finals. He has selected the left lane. Apparently, he, as an individual, feels just a little better in this lane, which hasn't been, it's been very close all weekend, but the right lane seems to have had the advantage, and Bernstein gets it.
Here are the finals in Pro Funny Car, Milan, Michigan. Far lane, Kenny Bernstein, and in the near lane, Don the Snake Prudhomme. Kenny Bernstein, car lead halfway, Bernstein wins!
Well, it was a good race, but Bernstein grabbed that initial advantage. You can see the happy crew there. They've won again. The number 3 ranking driver of all time in terms of wins, Bernstein, has picked up victory number 6 in IHRA competition. He grabbed the early lead, and he was just able to hold on. After the whole shot, Bob, they were very equally matched.
The Budweiser King Ford Tempo, Kenny Bernstein, the driver, and a win here at the Northern Nationals. There is Kenny. There's the miles per hour, 257.8. as he is already out of the car, and congratulating the loser, Don Prudhomme. Here's Marty.
Kenny Bernstein coming out underneath the helmet, and got to be a very, very excited young man. This has been one heck of a battle for you.
Oh, crew chief, Armstrong, Scarf, Balsick, Duhart, Motorcraft, everybody that helped us change motors. That's who did it that time. They did it.
I've never seen you shake like this before.
You know, you got a lot of adrenaline going right now, but what a day, huh? And Snake, you know, can't take anything away from him. He's hauling.
You almost didn't make the final round either.
Nope, no, it was close. I mean, they waited as long as they could, but we had a lot of work to do. But the crew guys, they just did super. They never gave up. They kept hitting it. That's what counts.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
It was a classic confrontation, Larry. Bernstein against Prudhomme. Let's take a look at it once again and see how Kenny pulled it off.
Well, Bernstein, the restaurateur, he ended up serving a full meal here in Michigan today. Again, it was the whole shot. He established superiority right there. They were both even the rest of the race, but the first split seconds of this event are what won it for Kenny Bernstein.
Our congratulations to Kenny Bernstein, the winner in the Pro Funny Car division, and also to Lee Shepard, who pulled off a victory in the Pro Stock division. The fans begin to file out of Milan Dragway in Milan, Michigan. Let's go down to Marty Reed for some closing comments. Marty?
I think what we saw today was drag racing at its finest. You saw that this sport has gone from days when you just lined your car up and took it as fast as you could down to the other end of the track. It's now engineering and science and technology that has gone into the computer age. It is people working together. You saw how the guys work together after they've been knocked out, just so that each one of these men could have a shot at first place and taking home the trophy. On the pro stock side, Lee Shepherd, as we said, the beat just seems to go on. He seems to be invincible on the IHRA circuit. It has been one dynamic event.
Bernstein and Shepherd, winners in the Ford Motorcraft Northern Nationals from Milan Raceway in Milan, Michigan. Our thanks to Marty Reed for his work and to Larry Nuber. We will see you in Cincinnati, Ohio for more IHRA drag racing on Saturday, August 11th. These guys have been working for a living all afternoon. Again, congratulations to Shepherd and Bernstein. This is Bob Jenkins saying so long, everyone.
Fly the